Welcome to Nerf and Turf. My name's Andrew, and today on Nerf and Turf we're going to talk about a question that I get asked quite often. I just wanted to express my thoughts on the topic. So ever since I made a YouTube channel, I get asked by a lot of people where they're like, oh, you do a YouTube channel about Nerf. Why Nerf? And so that question spawns into many other things where they ask, is it a children's toy? Why do you play Nerf? Why don't you play paintball or airsoft like a real man? And I get asked various questions like that. And they're very honest questions. No one's being rude. Nobody's trying to be negative. They're just honestly curious. So I just wanted to answer that curiosity. Because sometimes we hear this question and we think, yeah, dude, isn't Nerf a kid's toy for little kids? Are you a little kid? And when we hear them say something like that, we take it and we think they're being really rude and being really negative, when in reality their question is usually, that's very interesting that you play Nerf. I always thought of it as a kid's toy. Please tell me more about why you enjoy that hobby. And I think we need to approach it that way, or else we're going to get offensive and we're going to get angry, because instead that's really what they're asking. They're just curious, because yes, to most people Nerf is simply a children's toy, and I totally get that. Yes, there are like boxes that say, for kids 7 and up or whatever it is. I don't actually know what the number is. I should probably know that. I might flash that on the screen, might not. We'll find out later. But it's a genuine question, so I just wanted to discuss the differences between it, because one of the big things is, yes, I've played a lot of airsoft when I was in high school, and I've played a lot of paintball, and I have a lot of fun with those hobbies. But there was something about Nerf that truly drew me to the hobby, and that I love playing, and that I have a lot of fun inviting people to my house to play Nerf in a way I didn't with the other two hobbies. And so to address this topic, I'm going to go over the pros and cons of both Nerf and airsoft, because I don't personally own a lot of paintball supplies, so I'm not really going to talk about that. However, I'll touch into it a little bit, but for the most part I'm going to do the pros and cons of Nerf and airsoft, because I think it's a true debate, and it's not like there's a right or wrong choice. There's just one that a lot of people tend to prefer, so I just wanted to talk about that today. So first of all, with airsoft, one of the biggest reasons people love airsoft is the fact that the airsoft blasters, rifles, guns, whatever you refer to them as, they look realistic. They look like legitimate firearms, and they're modeled to look like firearms, and that's a big deal with it. They do have the required orange tips so you don't get shot by actual coppers, which is a very good thing. But for me, this was my base airsoft gun. I'm just going to refer to it as that. It shot about 300 feet per second, and spring powered. I have so much fun with that thing. I've got it back on safety. And I love that thing. I had so much fun playing with that with my brother. The big deal was when I got that, I lived with my parents, and we had a very large backyard, so we could have wars, because you'd be very far away. You didn't really want to be within 10-20 feet of somebody getting hit by an airsoft gun. It's just not pleasant. And then my brother and I, we upgraded to these. It's like a mini Uzi type thing, but it's a fully automatic. It's powered just by 4 AA's. Pretty low rate of fire, but it's just so entertaining to feel like you're just laying down lanes of plastic. But no, it's so much fun. But again, it's shooting pretty hard. This one's shooting more like 150 to 200 feet per second, and so that's a little more moderate. In a quick comparison, Nerf is generally hitting 70 feet per second unmodified, and so that's quite a bit harder for a little piece of plastic pelting you. But then, the moment we have all been waiting for. Here I have my M4 replica airsoft rifle. And so again, touching on the biggest part of airsoft is that it's supposed to mimic legitimate firearms, and it still has the orange tip at the end, and so that's going to just take away that pain. But this is a mag-fed blaster that you just have the mag there. It holds quite a few rounds, and this is shooting on average of 70 feet per second. Sometimes it can get quite a bit higher than that. Sometimes, depending on the batteries, it can drop below that, and it really just depends on what ammunition you're putting in it, how heavy or how many grams your BBs weigh. But here I have my M4. I don't know if you heard that, but that was loud. This thing is just so insanely fun. I remember I went to a bunch of wars with this. This thing, once I upgraded to this is beyond my backyard. I wasn't really playing with this in my backyard anymore. But I remember going out to some friends. We would find a field that nobody was at, or property that somebody owned. We would go out there and play, and man, we had fun. Because this thing is quite a bit of fun. It's so entertaining. But one thing to know with airsoft, and it's a big deal with airsoft, safety first, my dudes. Always wear eye protection because these plastic BBs are legitimately gonna take your eyes out. Now, no, you don't have to wear scientific goggles like I am currently. I generally just wore clear work glasses. But you just have to keep those eyes protected because oh, that hurt. Ricochets and ow, that hurt. So I got one back at me. But no, airsoft is incredibly fun. I remember having so much fun with it in high school. And this rifle, I still love it. I still keep up with it and keep it running. So now we're going to get to the down and dirty facts about airsoft. So airsoft, you're shooting BBs, small little plastic BBs. Generally the cheapest ones you're going to get are going to be 0.12 grams, and then the more expensive ones are 0.2, 0.25. So those are heavier, so they're going to go straighter. The other ones are flying all over the place. So a lot of people like to say that they're more accurate. They're not necessarily more accurate. It depends on what ammunition you're buying for that. One of the pros is that ammunition is cheap. You can buy a couple thousand rounds for about 10, 20 bucks, and that's fantastic. The con with that, though, is you're blowing through ammo so fast, and it's non-reusable. Because after you've shot it out, it's most likely going to hit something, chip, and if you put that back through your blaster, it's going to get caught in the motors, and you're going to break it. And that sucks. Because once you've broken it, you've got to crack it open and work on it. I was just working on my brother's MG36 airsoft rifle, and I'm trying to fix that baby up. You know, so I can go akimbo with my rifles. No, because that's insane. That would never work, but it would look pretty funny. Another pro for airsoft is that it feels more like a legitimate firearm. So it's better for practicing actual tactical play. So if you're simulating an actual warfare, it's great practice for that kind of thing. And it makes you feel more like you're in a war because you've got an accurate rifle. Everyone's gear generally is more military at that. And so that's a pro for it. But then a con for that is you can't play it everywhere. You can play it at some paintball parks that have airsoft days there that have specific fields for airsoft. But for the most part, you're not really going to find a free place to play airsoft, which is a huge con in my opinion, because you're going to have to pay to play it somewhere. That, or you're going to have to own private property, and that gets expensive, and not everyone owns private property. And so that's the difficulty, and really a huge con. The biggest con I saw with airsoft was simply trying to get a venue, a consistent venue, where people wouldn't shoo you off or think you had real guns. You couldn't really go play at parks too often without the city getting a little upset. And it wasn't necessarily illegal in most public parks, but people are going to freak out, and so the cops are going to send you away. So like, hey, let's not freak out people because they think you have real guns. And of course they do. You're holding black, realistic firearms that do have an orange tip, but people still freak out because of our current climate. That's just what's going to happen. And while we're on the subject of airsoft, I'm going to just barely tap on paintball. Paintball is a fantastic sport. People love playing it. People get very competitive with leagues. And the biggest deal I hear for paintball, and the reason people love paintball, is that like with airsoft and Nerf, when you hit somebody and you call the hit, they're going to argue. Just about every time. Because they're like, no, I didn't feel it, you didn't hit me, you can't prove it. And the reason a lot of people love paintball is when you're hit, you can't really get away with it. You are literally covered in paint. And so it's really easy to call those hits to get away from cheaters. And I totally understand that people prefer paintball because you can't cheat in it, and the truly competitive people love that. And that's awesome. I just know for me, paintball hurts. I mean, airsoft, it's going to leave a welt, like my M4. If you get skin shot on that, you're going to get a nice red welt. You might even get a little blood blister, and that hurts. But with paintball, you're bruised everywhere. I went out and played with a friend recently, and at the end of it, we didn't even get that many hits, and we're still bruised. Just because it's a much larger projectile when it hits. Sometimes it splatters, sometimes it just hits and bruises you. And some people love that. They love the pain. Personally, it's not my favorite thing. I don't want to go play a game knowing I'm going to get hurt. I'd rather go and have a great time, be able to put my all in it without thinking I'm going to come away bruised, and I'm going to come home, my wife's going to be like, oh my gosh, what have you done? I'd rather avoid that. And again, paintball in the same league as airsoft, you can't play it everywhere. Because especially with paintball guns, they don't have orange tips. Or generally, yeah, they don't have orange tips. And so you can't play it anywhere but at paintball parks. You're always going to have to pay for it. Paint's expensive. Playing in an actual park gets expensive if you try to do it often enough. And all those things compile that's a huge deterrent for me and as to why I don't play paintball. So now we're going to turn the corner and I'm going to talk about Nerf, because Nerf is a hobby that I have fallen in love with, especially in the modding aspect of Nerf. Currently I've got an Etsy channel, or Etsy page set up where I'm selling Nerf products. I'm setting up a party planning business where I'm doing people's birthday parties, school events, other things like that. And I'm truly just jumping in this hobby and I am loving it so much. I've had so much fun with this hobby. So here I have a Nerf Jolt. It is the most simple, the most plain Nerf blaster you can get. It's a simple plunger system. You've got a foam dart that's got, here's a good one, it's got orange tips on them. All Nerf blasters have to have huge orange tips that are usually all wild colors, so you know it's not a real firearm. And it doesn't shoot that hard. So the Jolt usually hits 50 to 60 feet per second. A normal Nerf blaster is going to shoot about 70 feet per second, unmodified. And after shooting an airsoft rifle, no, that is just nowhere near the same intensity, and a part of me is let down every time I shoot a Nerf gun or Nerf blaster after I've shot an airsoft gun. And yeah, you should, because you just went from multiple 100 feet per second to below 100, honestly, a lot of times hitting just 50 or 60 when you're unmodified. And that's a huge letdown. Another huge negative for people are the darts themselves. Darts can get expensive. Currently, if you're buying true Nerf darts, you can probably get about 100, maybe, for like 20, 30 bucks, something like that. If you're on Amazon, you can get off-brand ones where I found 200 to 300 darts for 20 bucks. And so still, that's a lot more expensive than paying 20 bucks for thousands of airsoft rounds. But the pro is that you can reuse them. So after I play, I usually have all my friends come pick them up, and we get nearly all of them every single time we play. Yes, a lot of them are going to get lost, but for the good majority of it, I come away with plenty of darts at the end of wars. When during a war, I look at my bucket and I'm like, wow, I'm out of darts. This is going to be a terrible day. I'm going to go home and be broke and have to buy more darts. But no, I usually have everybody pick them up and I get all my darts back. It's this magical process called friends helping each other. Wow! And so for me, that's a huge plus of Nerf, is the reusability of the projectiles. Next, and one of my, probably the biggest point for me, is the fact that you can play Nerf anywhere. I can play it in my house and I cannot get injured, whereas with a Nerf, or with an airsoft blaster or gun, if I shot in my house, first of all, plastic, it's going to scratch, it's going to break things in my house, my wife isn't going to like it, my dogs aren't going to like it, and it's going to hurt, that point blank, it's going to hurt so bad, I'm not going to do it again. Whereas with Nerf, I can play it in the house, and there's a lot less chance of me breaking things. It's not going to hurt when I get hit by it. It might sting for half a second, but you're like, hey, it was foam, I'm okay. And you get over it and you move on. So you can play anywhere. You can play in your house, you can play in indoor places, you can play in your church, you can play in so many places that it's such a versatile sport. I've played at parks and I've called the police and the city ahead of time and just run it by them, how many people I have, and not even just about every time, every single time, they're like, yeah, that is totally fine. Thank you for calling, we appreciate it, but you're fine. As long as my blasters are clearly marked that they're toys, they're totally okay with it. As long as they're marked that they're not firearms, they don't care. And that is this beautiful thing that I have about Nerf, is that it is so versatile. The DFW group, they did a war, I couldn't go to it, but they had a war a while back, where they were playing in a parking garage. I mean, it's pretty hard to just, reserve a parking garage. But people are okay with Nerf, because to most people, it's a toy. To most people, it's not an actual firearm. And so when you want to play it in offices, when you want to play it in buildings, outside, college campuses, everyone's okay with it. Because it's just such a versatile platform. Another huge pro, in my opinion, with the Nerf blasters, a lot of people say it doesn't look like a real firearm, and true, it's a toy. But there are ways to still have so much fun with them. Nerf themselves, they sell really cool attachments that are very childlike, very orange, and very bright. But a lot of people on Etsy, myself included, are 3D printing products. Here I just have a quick little compensator, foregrip, hollow sight, and a stock that I made. But I fully customized it. Now this is fully mine. Pretty sure nobody has one out there like this, especially since a lot of people haven't bought my parts yet. But, whoa, stuff falling behind me. But you can customize it, and then there's people on Etsy that are so good at this that they've made full kits that make your Nerf Strife. You can make it look like an MP5, you can make it look like a Scorpion Evo, you can make it look like an AK-47. That way, you can still get that rush that you get with an airsoft rifle, that you're holding a realistic firearm, but with the Nerf blaster. No, it's not going to shoot as hard. No, it's not going to hurt as much, but you still get that rush, that feeling of, wow, I feel so cool like this. And that's what I love about having 3D printed parts recently, is when I play, I just have so much fun. Because all of a sudden, I just feel so tactical, I feel amazing when I play with it. And so yeah, it's still a toy, it can look clearly like a toy, and then I can paint them to very much not look like a toy. Here's one that I made for my film The Call recently, and I don't have an orange tip on it, so I can't really take it outside. I kept the orange trigger because triggers are nice when they don't get stuck. But for the most part, you can customize, paint your blaster to make it look like just about anything. I made it look like there's a huge silencer on this revolver pistol, which is ridiculous. It's too big of a silencer, but you can have so much fun. I could cut it in half and make it look a little bit more realistic. But you can make the blaster look like just about anything you want. It's such a versatile platform if you're willing to put in the effort to mod things. And so the claim that they're not realistic, I understand it, but you can still, if you're willing to put the money in, and airsoft rifles are expensive. And so if you're willing to put the money in with a Nerf blaster, for the same amount of money, you're getting something that, no, it's not shooting as hard, but still you can upgrade it to shoot hard, look somewhat realistic, and yet you can play it just about anywhere. Your ammo is reusable, and when people look at you, they don't see somebody that's holding a firearm, they see somebody with a toy, and so it's so much less intimidating to people. Because right here I have another Strife that I've modified, and it's loud. It's like really loud. It's shooting really hard, and so the beauty of that is I've got this shooting about 120 feet per second currently. And that's pretty hard. It's just about as hard as one of the really wimpy airsoft guns I have. And the beauty of that is you can ramp these things up, and it's gonna hurt. It's not gonna hurt as much as an airsoft because it's not plastic, it's foam hitting you. And so the pain is going down, still reusable, but you can amp them up to shoot really hard. But for some people, they look at that and say, well, that's still, I don't want to put forth the effort to customize it. I don't want to put forth the effort to modify something. I just want paintball or airsoft. And they have something for that. Nerf started the Rival line a couple years back that shoot these soft foam projectiles, or high impact rounds is what they call them. And this is basically Nerf's answer to paintball. They have the Nemesis and the Prometheus that are hoppers, and so it's very similar to paintball. But the beauty of it is stock blasters, Chronos comes stock at 90 feet per second, but generally like the Apollo, Helios, those kind of rival stock blasters are coming out shooting 100 feet per second, which is fantastic. That's pretty hard. People make leagues, they get super competitive playing with the rival. Currently in my Chronos I have a K26 spring, which is a huge beefy spring, which means this thing is shooting 140, 150 feet per second, and that's hard. Really hard to prime. But it's so much fun to see something that big flying. And when you get hit by it, yeah, it's going to hurt. But the beauty with a Nerf rifle is at the end of the day, it's going to hurt a little bit, but it's not going to bruise. It's not going to leave a blood blister. It's not going to welt up in the same way as it would with paintball or airsoft. At the end of the day, you're fine and it doesn't hurt that bad. Yet you're still having so much fun with it. And so that's the beauty of when Nerf introduced the rival line. They have pistols, they have rifles, they have fully automatic rifles that have hoppers in them. It's fantastic the way that they're branching out. And again, you can play it anywhere. I can play that in my house, at a park, in my church, and it's fine. It's not intimidating, it's not scaring people off, because at the end of the day, it is a toy, and people know that about it. And so you can do it anywhere, and that's the beauty of Nerf right there. So in closing, I am a huge advocate for people playing paintball, airsoft, Nerf. I find them all fantastic hobbies, and I've dabbled in all of them, and I've enjoyed them all. But at the end of the day, for me, Nerf is my choice. I see the pros of Nerf being I can play it just about anywhere, in my house, outside at a park, and the public's not going to be upset about it. My wife won't be upset because I won't be breaking anything. It won't be hurting my body in the same way paintball or airsoft. And then, at the end of the day, the ammo is reusable. I can pick it back up, and most of the darts I will find. Most of the darts are still in great condition, and that's a beautiful thing to me. For me, those pros and the ability to customize your blasters quite easily, and the ability to buy rival blasters that are already shooting pretty hard that I can be competitive with other people. For me, those pros are quite large, and the Nerfing community is just growing and growing, especially here in the DFW. There are groups growing all the time. I know it's pretty big in a lot of other states, and Texas is just now really starting to get into it. And that's the beautiful thing of it, is it's a great hobby of people that have fun meeting each other, they have fun spending time with each other, and we just have a great time with it. So, for this dude,
Yeah, dude, isn't Nerf a kid's toy for little kids? Are you a little kid?
I just want to remind you that when we hear that question, we, as Nerfing people, as the Nerfing community, if we get upset by that question, do your best not to be, because they're not asking it in a demeaning way most of the time. They don't have a demeaning attitude about it. I know I feel like they do sometimes, but in reality they don't. They just truly want to understand your hobby in the same way somebody that collects stamps. I'm just going to be like, okay, so stamps, why? To me it's a little weird, but I want to know why, because obviously you love it, so I care about you and I want to know. And so I feel like they're all great hobbies. All hobbies are fun when people have interest. The Lord made us to enjoy things. He made creation for us to enjoy it. And for some people, it's the physics of Nerf. It's the competitiveness of Nerf. It's the team spirit, whatever you want to call it. And that's something the Lord's built into all of us, and He wants us to enjoy it. And so go out there and enjoy it. It's a beautiful thing. So have fun with those hobbies. And get on out there and Nerf your turf.